Hey guys! Today I'm going to talk about how I train my horses to stand on a pedestal using positive reinforcement. You might find this trick easier to teach if your horse already knows how to target and back up off light pressure. You can check out my video on how to teach these behaviors linked in the description below if your horse doesn't already know them. If you want to try this yourself, you'll need a halter and a lead rope, horse training treats, and a pedestal. I use a purpose-made pedestal that I bought on Etsy, but you can also use a different sturdy item. People use old tractor tires, mounting blocks, and when I first started training with the pedestal, I used a stump. If you've seen my video on the Spanish walk, the first steps are actually pretty identical for teaching the pedestal. To start, introduce your horse to whatever object you will be using as your pedestal. Depending on how anxious your horse gets around new objects, this may take anywhere from a couple minutes to several days. Allow your horse to investigate the pedestal and reward generously when they show interest. If your horse is anxious, start small and move slowly to ensure that it stays a positive experience. Once your horse is comfortable around the pedestal, you can begin picking up a front foot and placing it on the pedestal. Have them stand back from the base of the pedestal so that when you extend their leg, it lands in the center. When the foot touches the pedestal, click and reward the horse. Be sure to place both feet on the pedestal. I'll usually do about 5 to 10 repetitions in a row before swapping to the other side. For your own safety, stand at your horse's shoulder and be sure to stand clear of the leg so that they don't hit you if they begin attempting to put their feet on the pedestal by themselves. Once the horse is comfortable putting their feet on the pedestal, start adding your cue. I say step up and I touch the horse in their armpit before picking up their leg and placing it on the pedestal. Eventually, they will start to lift their foot at the cue, and with more practice, they will start to reach for the pedestal on their own. When your horse is confident placing their foot on the pedestal, either by themselves or with your help, you can ask them to begin placing their weight onto the pedestal. I find this part can be the trickiest for a horse to pick up, so you want to take care to set them up for success. I help my horse by ensuring their foot is centered over the pedestal before I ask them to step onto it, just to reduce the risk of the pedestal tipping over. I then ask the horse to step forward and up by asking them to target my hand while putting gentle pressure on the halter to ask them to come forward. I watch their leg on the pedestal very closely, and as soon as I see them begin to bear a little bit of weight on that front leg, even if they immediately step back off, I click and reward. It can be hard to tell if they're starting to bear weight, but I watch the knee, and if it looks like they're flexing, that's generally a pretty good sign that they've started to think about bearing weight on that leg, which is the next step for getting them to stand onto the pedestal. In this stage, it's really important to be on top of your clicker timing so they know as soon as you start to put weight on that leg that was what you wanted. Continue asking your horse to step up and reward when your horse puts weight on the pedestal. Eventually, they should step fully onto that leg and stand up on the pedestal. Click and reward generously whenever they do that, but be aware that they might not get the second leg up on the first few attempts. So again, be very deliberate with your clicker timing so that they realize that the weight bearing on the pedestal was the behavior you were looking for, and with a bit more practice, they will begin landing the second leg as well. Now that your horse knows how to get up on the pedestal, you need to teach them to get back down. When you're ready, you can ask them to step backwards off the pedestal with your back command. The pedestal I use is a little too small to train this behavior, but if you eventually want to train your horse to put all 4 feet onto the pedestal, it's important that they don't learn to step off the front of the pedestal. So when you ask them to get down, always ask them to go back. When your horse can step up onto the pedestal confidently and easily with your help, and can get back down again, you can put all these steps together and teach them to step up onto the pedestal unassisted. So stand your horse so that their outstretched leg will land in the middle of the pedestal. Then tap them on the back of the leg and say your cue, step up. When your horse reaches out and lands a leg on the pedestal, step in front and ask them to target your hand and step up onto the pedestal. This may take a couple of tries to figure out the leg placement on their own, but with a bit of practice, they'll work it out. I found that how quickly a horse learns to stand on the pedestal really seems to depend on the individual. Some seem to love standing up on the pedestal and they pick up on it really quickly. and you might find that they actually start climbing onto the pedestal on their own unprompted when they're given the chance. However, a horse like Cricket I think might be afraid of heights because it just really doesn't seem to come naturally for him, and I'd be pretty surprised to find him on the pedestal on his own time. In addition to being just a fun confidence building trick, you can actually use the pedestal training to help a horse that's a tricky loader, and it's generally a good introduction to obstacle training. So whatever your motivation, give it a shot with your horse, and if you have any questions, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching!